What's up, guys?
It's Monday, Miracle Monday.
Yay. Let's just start out by talking about the amazing coffee we had this morning.
Oh my gosh. Truly. First of all, we went to Dunkin' this morning.
Mm-hmm.
This very morning. Because we don't have any oat milk in the house. And we just needed something to get us going. We went to Dunkin' and we both forgot that paying for coffee is something that has to happen. So that was a little bit awkward and unfortunate.
Okay. Context. We have these little keychain things that you can get $2.99 coffee.
$1.99.
Oh, $1.99 coffee. But for some reason in both of our heads, that meant once they scan this, we're good to go.
So she scanned mine first, and she was like, "Okay." She said, "Okay, it's $2.19," and I said, "Okay." And I grabbed the cash that was in my cup holder, and gave it to her because I was like, "Wow, I forgot that I still have to pay even after she scans my little barcode." But honestly, that was pre-coffee, so I think that gives us a little bit of an excuse.
It's just funny because we both thought that. It was just this is our payment.
Yeah, I gave her my cash, and then I turned to Angelika and I said, I forgot that we still have to pay for it. She said, "Me too."
But
then we went on a little adventure trip, and we didn't set out to get coffee. That wasn't really our intention. But we were so tired because the Dunkin' coffee did not do it for us.
Mm-mm.
And so we went to this little hole in the wall coffee place called Collective Espresso in Cincinnati and Northside. And
I don't know if it would be considered hole in the wall. It's very nice, and I don't know if it's...
Oh, I just mean it's a little you wouldn't, if you passed by it, you wouldn't see it.
Yeah, I think technically hole in the wall is
dingy?
a different meaning. Like a family-owned little spot that only locals would know about. I think that's what I think that's a hole in the wall means. I don't know, honestly.
Tell us what hole in the wall means, guys.
ChatGPT.
Well, regardless, it was a little tucked away. I think they have multiple locations. I had never seen this location before, and I used to live in this neighborhood, so must be new. Oh my gosh, we got the best lavender lattes ever.
I don't know what they did, but
it was incredible.
You know what it was?
What?
Liberals. Liberals make the best coffee.
Okay.
You haven't heard of that trend? How you hope your barista has blue hair, or just basically if your barista's a liberal, you're going to have a good coffee?
No.
Really?
Yeah. Probably because I am liberal, so it's not going to show up on my FYP.
But it's not a controversial thing. It's it's just a funny joke.
I don't know. Never heard of it. Anyways, it was the best lavender latte we ever had.
I don't understand how our For You pages are so different.
I know. And this morning, oh my gosh, when we woke up, it was the perfect fall day, as described in a previous podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It was misty, it was damp, it was overcast, and the colors of the leaves were on the ground, and they were wet, and they were soggy, and they were colorful, and today's just a good day.
Mm-hmm. Good start to our day, except for when we first left the apartment and this man was yelling at us about driving the wrong way, even though it's the way everybody goes.
Yeah, that was obnoxious, but what does he know? He doesn't live here. What are we even talking about today? Oh, yeah. I'm going to ask you some questions about your trip.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you recently took a trip.
Mm-hmm.
I feel the lie detector interviews.
Yes. That's exactly what you sounded like.
You recently took a trip on Route 66. What inspired that?
That's a good question. Well,
I think there's one specific answer that I'm looking for.
Oh, I thought it was
But then,
open.
It is an open question, but I want you to say one thing specifically during the open question.
Wow. I feel like I'm not going to say it now.
I think, yeah. Okay, go ahead. Now I really want to know what you're going to say.
The inspiration for this trip?
Mm-hmm.
Well, specifically going to Route 66, that was like something that Gary had originally came up with, but we've been wanting to take a trip. We just didn't know where. We didn't know when. Like, we've been wanting to take a really awesome road trip. And so this was like the way to do it, where it just made sense because it gave us a specific location, a specific route.
Yeah.
And it's also something that Gary has always wanted to do since he was young. Like, he's always wanted to go because I love the history of things too, but he is a absolute history. Like, he loves to learn. He loves to way more than I even do. So he just loves the history of it all. So that was kind of like his inspiration. But overall, we just really we wanted to take an awesome trip that was intentional, and we felt like that was just the best way to start. Because it's not just like a fun little vacation for us. It's like we knew that there would be so much more to it than just taking a trip. Because we were we're ready for whatever God has for us, whoever he wants us to meet, to talk to, the experiences, what we'll learn, what we'll see, and everything. So yeah, it was just it was an all-around trip, strengthening us, strengthening our relationship, strengthening our relationship with God even. It was just all of that. Then also, making content on top of that. And, yeah, it was just all around. I think there's a bunch of different inspiration.
Yeah, that makes sense. Is there a specific cinematic inspiration for Route 66?
Oh, the Cars movie?
Yeah.
Of course. Yes. I always loved the Cars movie, obviously.
Me too.
And so many people, myself included, kind of that's where you learned about Route 66. Some people haven't really learned about it otherwise. When we first planned it, we watched tons of YouTube videos just to see what is all there, and what is it even about, what's the history behind it, and everything. But yeah, Cars was definitely a big inspiration for me. And we did get to go to some of those locations that it was inspired by.
I love that. Yeah. That is so cool. Your pictures, for those of you who haven't seen, I don't actually know where or if you've posted them, but your pictures of the neon signs, I would hang those. We should get them framed. Anyway, the pictures that you took were really incredible.
Thank you.
Okay, so there are so many highlights highlights and lowlights. It's hard to think of one thing or a handful of things to focus on, but some bullet points. Right after you left, you guys got really sick.
Yeah,
COVID and food poisoning at the same time.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Whatever the heck it was terrible.
You had such an interesting hospitality experiences. You stayed in different motels, you stayed at different campsites, you stayed in your car, you stayed so many different places.
Seriously?
Literally so many. And you made it all the way from Kentucky to California.
Thank God.
Thank God. And back again.
Yeah.
One of my favorite stories, I'm sure that I haven't heard all of them because it's just it kind of comes in waves. You'll be something will trigger a memory and you'll be oh yeah, on the road trip, da 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 da. But one of my favorite stories is the way that God orchestrated the meeting of your two new favorite people in the whole world. Tell us about that.
Well, it's crazy because it all lines up together. Because when we were in Missouri, we stopped at a McDonald's. We don't normally eat McDonald's, but this trip we became McDonald's people. That $5 meal deal,
yeah,
can't beat it.
Well, you can at Wendy's 4 for $4. Is that Wendy's?
Do they still have that? Probably not, since inflation. But I think Wendy's is absolute bottom of the barrel.
Talk to the hand.
I do not like Wendy's anymore. That used to be all I ate when I worked at Five Below.
When I had money.
That's not what I was gonna say.
When you ate fast food.
When I worked at Five Below.
Yeah.
Because there was a Wendy's like right down the road, and back then I didn't eat McDonald's at all. But I've switched now, and I hate Wendy's.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't had it in a while. But anyways, and it was like late at night, so, and you know how some McDonald's, like, you can't tell if they're open on the inside, they're drive-through only. Half the time the parking lot's pitch black and you don't even know if they're still in business.
Yeah, and it used to be McDonald's was open 24/7.
Yeah.
Drive-through and in-house.
Exactly. They're all different, so you never know. So we pulled up and we were like kind of looking, and we're like, it doesn't look like the inside is even open. And then we saw a man at the kiosk, and we were like, okay, there is someone in there that they're ordering right now, so we're good to go in there. And I noticed there was like a truck with a U-Haul parked out there, and I was like, oh, there's probably somebody in there traveling too. And so we go inside, and they're open, obviously, and there's like this other couple. And so we, like, me and Gary, separately, before we even said anything out loud, just like wanted to talk to these people. We didn't know why. It was just like, oh, maybe they're traveling too.
Yeah.
And so we were talking about it, and we were like, what should we say to them? And like, I was thinking in my head, I did not say this out loud, I was like, he has a Buc-ee's shirt on, so I could talk to him about Buc-ee's, because I love Buc-ee's. But I was just like too nervous to speak to them. Like, I just couldn't do it. But I just had this push inside of me to talk to them, and he did too. And again, I never said anything about the Buc-ee's shirt out loud. So then he finally speaks up to them, and he's like, hey, I noticed you have a Buc-ee's shirt. Like, are you guys traveling? Like, whatever.
Yeah, because there's no Buc-ee's around there, right?
No. Yeah. No, I think they just might have made one in Springfield, Missouri. But we were in, I can't even remember where we were in right now. But, well, he told them we were doing like the Route 66 road trip, like whatever. And they thought that was so awesome. They were like, yeah, we're not doing anything cool like that. We're just moving our mom's stuff to come stay with us for a while. And so they were traveling, but just from one place to another. And so within like barely even talking to them, she was like, if you guys need a place to stay on your way back, just call me. I'll give you my number. Like, she wrote her number down. She's like, you guys can come stay with us. She's like, we live on this acres of land and like whatever. It was just so nice. And we were like, wow, that was so sweet. Like, she barely knew us yet. Yeah. And so then we just kind of talked to them a little bit more, and then we went about our way. She took our names down too, and she added us on Facebook. And so right after that, like probably within the week, is when we got sick. Yeah. And we were in a hotel already, and I was really sick, like terribly sick. And then I was also throwing up and everything. So it was like sickness on top of sickness. And we were mostly trying to car camp. We did tent camp one night, and that ended up with ticks all over us.
Yeah, what a nightmare.
Yeah.
I was so scared that your sickness was from the ticks.
Yeah, I know.
Like, I was consulting everybody. I was like, here are the symptoms. What do you think? Like, Laura, my mom, like everybody, because I was like so concerned about it. I was really nervous.
Yeah. I mean, it could have been. Who knows?
Yeah.
I could.
Probably was just COVID though.
Yeah, because we both got it. I think he got it like literally I don't think he felt anything the first day. I think it was the next day that he started to feel it. So I think like it was definitely something contagious, because it was like he got it right after me. And then but he didn't ever get the throwing up.
Yeah,
and
that
stuff,
was
so
just
I
like
think,
a weird food poisoning situation.
Yeah, but we ate the same things, so I don't know. I think he does have a stronger immune system.
And he
never gets sick.
I was going to say, he probably has a stomach of steel. Men just like are like that. They will eat whatever.
Literally. But yeah, so on Gary's YouTube channel, like he was just posting about it, and I don't even know if it was about the sickness, just whatever he posted. And the lady we met, Lori, she actually sent us some money, and that was so freaking sweet. Like, she just wanted to like contribute to the trip because she's just so supportive, and she was like following along. She was so excited for our journey, and they were just happy to see us being young and taking this trip. So that was like such a blessing. So that's what made us able to get the hotel for another night. So the timing worked out perfectly, because then it was like, okay, like we feel like we don't have to like go into our budget even more in the same, because we didn't want to stay in the same city twice in a row, and that take away from like whatever, I don't know. It's just we kind of had a way we were doing things, and we had to stay. Like I was too sick, like I could not be on the road. I had a fever so bad. So that was such a blessing alone. Like meeting them, they was just so nice. They were so nice. And just her like being so open and supportive was so nice. Yeah. So it's like it was already such a blessing. And then she did that, and that was such a blessing as well. So then like we went about the trip, and we stayed somewhere that ended up being a disaster. I'm not going to go into detail, but it was like hell. And like I said, I will not be going into detail, but it like really made our trip go from amazing to feeling so dark. Yeah. It was just a situation that happened, and it was like, wow, like this is crazy. Like it felt like everything amazing that happened was just like
very overshadowed.
Yes. It was very dark.
When you were like, when that was happening, I was talking to the girls about it, and we were like, man, that is like we knew it was bad, because it was essentially as if all the good things that had happened like didn't even happen, because things were so bad right then.
It was weird.
It was very weird.
Definitely like spiritual. Yeah. It was crazy. So once we escaped from that situation, I would love to share it, but I feel like
it's just not something that can be shared. It can't be shared on the internet, but if you want to know,
I'll tell
message us.
Yeah, and so we had to like, and this is when we were in California when this happened. So we had already been across the whole country. Yeah. And there's so many stories in between, but I'm just trying to get to like
bullet points.
Back to their names are Lori and Gary. So that was funny too, because they both have the same name. Yeah. And so we're in California, and we're like, okay, we have to make the most of this, because this has been a wild ride. So we went to the beach. That was amazing. So then on our way back, we're like, we could either go the way that goes through Utah and Colorado. Oh, yeah. Or we could go the way that's where Lori and Gary live. We were like, yeah, it would be cool to go that way. But like our draw was really to like be able to see Lori and Gary again, because they were just such awesome people and so supportive, and we knew we wanted to talk to them more. Like we wanted to have
you guys
time.
Had an instant connection with them.
Literally, that's the only way to explain it. And so we were like, okay, we're gonna still go the Oklahoma way, just go right back the way we came, except we didn't take Route 66, we took the highway.
The interstate.
But it still went through a lot of the same areas. But so we get to Oklahoma, and we pull up, and they just like have the most beautiful house, and the most like this. Okay, I can't give context because of the other story, but I want to just say like the complete difference between them, and I just can't. But okay, so from going from the hell that we experienced the one place we stayed, this felt like heaven. Like it felt like we were arriving at heaven.
At the gates of heaven.
Yes. And so they welcomed us in their home, and gosh, they're just sweetest and nicest people. And obviously everyone's like, are you sure they're not like murderers? They're not going to kill you? Like people don't just like invite you to come stay after meeting them in a dark McDonald's.
You know, I never once had that thought, actually.
Because you know that God is like crazy like that.
Yeah. And it was just like you sent us your location and stuff, and you were like, okay, like, I don't know. And I looked at it on the map, and like it was kind of secluded. I don't know. I just never felt like weird about it, which is unusual for me specifically.
Yeah, that's true. I honestly never felt weird about it, but it was like, you know, like his parents and like certain people just like, that's that's the type of people that murder you, is the people who are super nice. Whatever. And whether they really believed that or not, that was something they kept trying to put in our heads. But, and, yeah, we got there, and man, we were just instantly like, just like filled with so much love.
Yeah.
And they were just so kind. They had a whole like separate, basically apartment for us to stay in. That's like in
just an upstairs.
And they had the cutest little dogs.
Aww.
And she cooked us a homemade meal every single day. Breakfast, had stuff for lunch, dinner. Like, she really treated us like family.
Like you were her kids.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And it was so crazy to us, especially after what we experienced. And just in general, like, it was just such a blessing to end our trip with.
So, at what point was it when you were at McDonald's?
That was so Midwestern.
Yeah, it was. I go from Canadian to Southern to Midwestern. It just depends on the day. Was it when you were at McDonald's that you like talked about God? Like, how did you know that they were believers?
Well, I actually knew before we even spoke to them, because I heard them pray over their food.
Okay.
And then she did talk about, she was saying, like, she was recommending us, I think, books about traveling or Route 66, or there was something she was recommending. I'm sorry, I don't remember. But, and then she was saying, like, what type of, I think, podcast or audiobook she likes to, I don't know. It was something to do with that. And then she said, I'm into, like, Christian stuff, like, whatever.
Aww.
And, so then Gary was like, you guys Christians? And she was like, yes. Are you guys? And we were like, yes. So it was like, but she had already invited us over before any of that interaction. So, like, that wasn't, it was just we all knew before we even knew. Yeah. You know, it was just God. It was so awesome.
That's so sweet.
Yeah. And it was just so amazing. Like, they made sure that we were fed. They made sure we were rested up. They made sure we were hydrated. Like, we just had such amazing conversation with them about God and about life. And, like, they even said, they're like, it's refreshing to talk to you guys, because I feel like we're talking about things that we don't even talk about with, like, the people closest to us. So we were like those people that they could talk to, because sometimes you don't want to talk to people that you're close to.
Yeah.
And so it was, like, refreshing for them. It was refreshing for us. Like, we each were bringing different things to the table for each other.
Yeah.
Like, we felt like we don't want to be like a burden to you guys, nothing. And, like, to them, it was not a burden at all. Like, she told us, stay for a week, stay for a month, stay as long as you want. Like, she genuinely meant that. And they didn't want us to leave at all. We didn't want to leave either.
When you sent the original, like, pictures and videos of, like, where you were staying, I was like, oh, she's never coming home. Like, she's going to be there. And you were like, well, probably before you got there, I was like, how long do you think you guys will stay there? And you said, probably just one night. Like, we'll probably hit the road the next morning.
It ended up being 3 nights.
Yeah. Which is so good, because, like you said, it was like the rest that you needed. Yes. It was, you know what? I have the perfect analogy. It was like, you know, at the end of The Lord of the Rings, when Frodo wakes up in Rivendell,
I think.
And it's the slow motion part that everybody's like, why was this in slow motion? He wakes up and he goes, Gandalf. Everything's in slow motion. Everybody's running in the room in slow motion. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I feel like I remember, but I have such bad memory with stuff like that.
It's like,
I'm like picturing it, so I think I know.
But that's like what it was. It was like you guys had gone through Mordor and you were finally like in a safe, cozy,
seriously,
space.
Yeah.
Not that like the whole trip was bad. It was just like you had a bad experience. Plus you were sick. Like, there were a lot of bumps in the road.
We got so many tick bites. So many mosquito bites.
Yeah. And my mom would text me like every couple days. Well, I don't know. Yeah, she would text me like every couple days and ask like how you guys were doing and if I had heard anything from you. And so then when you were at Gary and Lori's, she was like, have you heard from, she would call you guys the travelers. Have you heard from the travelers? Do you know when they're coming home? And I was like, oh, well, they're staying with these people and it's a really nice place. So I don't think I'll be seeing them for a while.
Trust me, if we weren't ready to get back and get our stuff rolling, and also like obviously there was no problem, but we just didn't want to be taking up their time, even though like they genuinely wanted us to stay longer. Like I love them, and they even invited themselves to our wedding. They're like, we'll come to you guys' wedding. Well, I guess we're just inviting ourselves, but I was like, oh, you'll be invited.
That's so cute.
And it's crazy because they were strangers.
Yeah.
Like, I would even say that this whole trip was
just to meet
them. Like, there was so much other stuff that came out of it.
Yeah.
But this was just like,
such
even
a
just
highlight.
Explaining it, I can't even do it justice, because it was just the connection we got to have with these two people that were like just so amazing. And they took us to their church with them on Sunday. They took us out to eat this amazing Mexican restaurant, and Gary took fishing, so they went out on the water and went fishing, and it was awesome. It was so awesome. Oh, I love them, and I just want to go back. But yeah, they would be fine with us coming back anytime.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love them, and they're like such like special people.
Yeah. They're like bonus parents to you now. Yeah, they're
just and just the fact that we were able to bring them like they loved talking to us. They loved like our point of view of things. They loved just like it was just like community. Like it was just like true community, and it doesn't matter the difference in age. Like even if they see us as like similar to their kids' ages, they don't treat us like that. You know, they see our value, and they see like who we are and who we're trying to be, and like just like they were so encouraging. Gary, her husband, was even like teaching us about like business stuff, and like just encouraging us in how to like be successful, and like also reminding us though that like success really isn't the house, the cars. While their house was being built, they stayed in their camper on the property, and they said we were just as happy then as we are now. So they were just saying like it's not about the house, it's about
contentment.
Yeah.
And like finding, like you can tell that they were rooted in their identity in Christ.
Exactly. They're just such genuine. I've never in my life met such genuine and kind people, and they inspired me in a lot of ways. They taught me a lot in just that short amount of time. Yeah. And like, oh my gosh, I just love them. But yes, there's so much to this trip.
Yeah.
But
this was just like a little taste.
Yeah.
And if you want more, check out her YouTube channel, because she did like really cool vlogs.
Thank you.
And like, I loved watching them. I loved watching them when you were on the road, and I love watching them like now, like the ones that you're still putting out, because she has so much footage and so much content. She'll be putting them out for the rest of the year probably.
Literally. And that's what we said when we went. We're like, we're probably going to have content to last us literally the rest of the year.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like we're ready to go on another trip, but it's like we have to finish what we have, or it's going to get like lost, even though it's so much good stuff. So yeah.
It was so like, I just feel like we could talk about this forever, because I still have so many questions that I want to ask you like about the trip, because we haven't really we didn't dive into it very deeply.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, I feel like there's still so much left that we could talk about.
Yeah.
But that was like truly the highlight of the whole trip, and I wanted to make sure that we touched on that, because like that is such an example of mundane miracles, and how mundane miracles even came to be, because like that's exactly what we were talking about a year ago when we were thinking about starting this podcast, was like just those little domino effects of leading to that bigger moment. So the fact that you guys didn't go when you were originally planning to go, the fact that like you were having car problems, and so that pushed your trip back. And then we had visitors, and so that pushed your trip back. And just like everything led to that moment in McDonald's.
Exactly. And they weren't supposed to be there either.
Exactly.
Like, this is not a new drive for them.
Right.
And I guess like something happened and the GPS took them like just a different way this time or something. And the other place they wanted to eat at was closed.
Oh, wow.
So that's why they ended up at this random McDonald's, and why we did too. And like even me and Gary were like choosing between where we should go eat, because I think there was like a Whataburger or something, and we wanted to go there kind of, but then we also were like, well, McDonald's got the $5 deal. And it just all happened exactly the way that God wanted. And that's why we both had that push.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so many people we saw that we didn't think, oh, like we need to talk to them, we need to ask them, but them specifically. Oh, and one more thing that was so cool, there were so many, but we were at this rest stop in Arizona, and there was this old couple like my grandparents' age. Aww. And I went up to ask, they were trying to take like a selfie in front of the red rocks, and so I went up to ask them like, can I take your picture for you? And they were like, yes, thank you. And so like we just started talking a little bit, and I told them like about the trip we were taking, and the lady was from California and I think the man was from Texas. And so she was like so excited that we were going to California, and she was like telling us where to go and everything, and like they were just so excited to talk to me. And Gary was like sitting at the table over there, so the man like starts saying stuff to him, and so he comes over, and so them two are talking and me and her talking, and we're just like talking about traveling, and like they're again so happy to see us traveling while we're young. And that's like one thing that you really learn from older people, is like to really appreciate the fact that you are able to travel and that you're doing it while you're young, because I think a lot of people wait till they retire. Yeah. And then it's like, that's why it's so cool for them to see us doing it as like in our 20s, because they never got to. Yeah. And so they're so happy for that, and they just absolutely love talking to us. And then like the man like asked Gary like, is there anything that I can do for y'all? Is there anything I can help you with? Like, again, complete strangers. Like, and they're treating us like they've known us forever. And even the lady, like, she was just so happy to talk. I don't know. That was just a crazy connection as well. Yeah. And then as we were leaving, they were like, you guys be safe. Like, it was awesome meeting you. Just all this stuff. And they both hugged us. Oh. Like, we're strangers. This conversation was not longer than 10 minutes. Yeah. And they hugged us. And then we kind of talked a little bit more in between. And then she came and she hugged me again. And then she like kissed me on the head. Like as if I was like, she was like, be safe. Like as if I was her granddaughter. Like literally. And it was like, those things all came right at the time that the push we needed. It would be right after we're like, man, we're really exhausted. Man, it's really hot. Like, I feel like we're not getting enough like content out, or I feel like we're not getting enough editing done, or I feel like we're just all these different downsides. And those would come right at the right time to encourage us to keep going and to like go at it even harder and better, and just like have so much more
perseverance. Yes.
And just, it was amazing. Oh, but yeah, it was just like God always sending people at the right time to remind us like what we're doing it for, and just a reminder to keep going, and to just overcome whatever battles we go through. And it was crazy. We met so many people, and those were just like two highlights, but we did meet a lot of people, and like just fellow travelers, and like fellow Route 66 people, and just so many different things. I really feel like I could tell a story. Like I could spend probably like a few hours straight just telling stories. But
I could spend a few hours straight just asking you questions. Like even just this, I have so many questions that I want to ask you that we just haven't talked about, like about stuff that we haven't even touched. But
yeah, I know, and stuff just like comes back to me. It's like, wait, I forgot about that. Like even this, I know I'm going to be editing this back, or like once we finish it, I'm going to be like, oh shoot, I wish I would have talked about that. But yeah, like you said, they're going to be on my YouTube channel, at least like like this story I'm telling isn't even on my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
So that's cool part y'all get to hear on here. But then as far as like all the clips and stuff we did, that'll be on there.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll even continue to have like behind the scenes conversations about your trip, because I'm sure it'll come up on different occasions. So stay tuned for that. Yeah. Well,
what was our mundane miracle of the week? Because we have some exciting news to share with y'all. If you're watching, this is going to be more exciting. If you're listening, we'll tell you. This is our mundane miracle. This is Honey. Hi, Honey. Mariah got her dream puppy, and she can tell you guys all about it, but just look at this beautiful girl. Say hi. This beautiful girl. She's so confused because she just woke up from a nap.
Oh my gosh, I wanted a Bernedoodle since I was a teenager. Ever since I learned about them, I was like, I need this dog. They're so expensive, and I had been saving up for a while to get a Bernedoodle specifically, and I knew that I wanted to get her like before winter, if that was possible, which it wasn't really looking like that was going to even be possible at all. But miracle upon miracles, Erica's friend just happened to have a litter of Bernedoodles that she was selling for very, very
quarter of the price, or even less.
Even less.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was an insane deal. And so Angelika and I talked about it. We didn't even talk about it. We were just like, yep, we're getting her.
Yeah.
And I got off work at midnight on Friday, and then we drove through the night to North Carolina, picked up the dog, stayed in Salisbury for a little while to eat, and then drove home and got home at 5 a.m. on Sunday morning. So we were all in all up for 72 hours to get this dog.
Oh, we're still tired from it, and it's been 3 days now. Oh wait, is today Wednesday?
Yeah. So tired, exhausted, totally worth it. And she's just the cutest thing ever, and she's so good. She's the best dog.
She's the best dog I've ever had an experience with. The best puppy. Like, she's so smart.
She's so smart. And another miracle about it is that there were only 2 puppies in her litter, and Erica got the other one. His name is Benny, and so they get to know each other forever.
I'm so happy. It was so sad. We didn't know yet they were going to get him. So when we were there, we had to take Honey from her brother. Like, they were little besties. And
the breeder was like, yeah, they're just like 2 little peas in a pod. They do everything together. And I said, don't tell me that. No, I don't want to take her.
Or we have to have both.
Yeah, or we have to have both. And then we ended up having both, really.
Yeah, because when we go back to North Carolina or they come here, they get to be reunited.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so sweet.
Yeah.
They get to know each other forever. And that's just like the best thing to me.
I love them. They're so cute. And they're so cute in their own ways. Yes. Benny is super curly, and Honey is more like
Bernese.
Yeah.
Because Benny's more like a poodle and Honey's more like a Bernese.
At least for now.
Yeah. They still have their puppy fur, so we'll see what she looks like growing up.
And she's only 9 weeks.
Oh, she's so cute.
She's about to be 10 weeks, and she's just the perfect little girl, and she's already made us so happy. And I'm so glad that Mariah has a little best friend to always have with her.
It'll be so fun to watch her grow up and train her and teach her everything.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, she's so cute.
Yeah, and we probably have to go take her out to go potty. So thanks for listening, guys.
See you next week.
Peace.